7th race weekend of the BMW IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Cup. We're in Innsbruck in Austria, just in the valley. At the bottom of the hill is the double Olympic city. We're slightly higher up, outside the small village of Eagles, where since the early 40s they have been sliding down this hillside. In 1964, the Olympics was held here on a natural track. In 1972, this track was the venue for the Olympic Games and remains in use to this day, but this will be the final World Cup weekend on this particular track, as plans are in place to change the bottom, including the very tricky outrun which finishes under the nearby ski piste. Well, the start is short here, and so explosive power is going to be absolutely critical. And then, as is common in most bobsleigh tracks, very flat at the start into this long corner 2. First chance to give away speed is a little tap into corner 3. Big left-hander here, and going into the upper labyrinth. 4, 5, and 6. And these 3 corners lead you down to one of the signature turns here, the Kreisel. 270-degree corkscrew. So going onto the Kreisel, first pressure, second pressure, and hopefully no third pressure at the end. And then down into corners 8 and corner 9. Big left-hander here, critical to get a clean exit. Goes slightly uphill, then down into 10. Another big, long left-hand push. And then down now at about 70 miles an hour into this lower labyrinth. And look at the speed the corners come at you here. 11, 12, 13, and then the final corner as you come across the line. Then the most dangerous bit of the entire track, trying to stop before and after that final curve as you come into the station. Well, the track record set by Brianna Walker in a race here in December 2022. That was the Europa Cup race. And the start record, Cynthia Appiah set it in last year's Monobob World Series race here. It's the first year that Monobob has been a full World Cup event. And we have 16 athletes in our field. We've had 7 different medal winners this season. 2 race winners are here because Bianca Riebe, who won the season opener in Whistler, has had to go back home. She is starting her job as a professional firefighter. And I guess 1st of January was commuted to after the World Championships. There's Brianna Walker, could be one of our medal winners here this weekend. World Championships just completed last week. Lara Nolter, the new world champion, ahead of that woman, Kaylee Humphries, who was the outgoing world champion, won the title in 2021 in Altenburg, and she is the reigning Olympic champion there. Cynthia Appiah, another one of the strong starters in this field. Just following Riley Compton down the hill, or Riley Compton as she's otherwise known, anywhere outside of St. Moritz. Riley will be first off, followed by Wai Mingming of China. Georgetta Popescu, one of our youth Olympic athletes from 2020 in St. Moritz. She was the gold medalist. She's ahead of Lisa Buchwitz, Yingqing, Bree Walker, and the rest of the field will follow with 2 rookies, Leah Hazelwanter from Austria and Kelly van Pettigem from Belgium. Race 7 of the BMW IBSF Women's Monobob World Cup, and Riley Compton of the USA first up, her 5th World Cup race. Riley missed both Altenburg races, but she did race here in the Europa Cup race last month, so she's got some knowledge of this track. 2 8th place finishes in Whistler, the season opener, and in Lake Placid in the North American leg. Let's see what she's got for us at the start. 6:33, the start record is a 5:76 by Cynthia Appiah. Little left-hand curve into corner 1, then 2. This is corner 3. See the shaving marks on the ice. The track's been really well prepared. A lot of ice build-up over a long winter. Running down through the upper labyrinth into the Kreisel. First pressure, holding that height. Nice exit, not too skiddy. Nice looking drive so far, just 1 tap early on in 4 and 5. Just a little drift from 9 to 10. Good height there. Nice looking little run so far from Riley Compton of the USA. And she will be the first across the line. 55.91. So coming down in about 20 seconds fewer than we were in the World Championship in St. Moritz. Much longer track, 1,850 meters. This is a little over 1,200 meters down to the finish line. So Riley Compton completes her first run. little look here. You can see the loose start coming in on the left-hand side. The Damen start gets a bit of a bump, but gets bumped out of the seat there. So that's energy going out of the sled that otherwise would be driving her forward. And a little tap there as well further down. Exeter 9 coming uphill briefly. And so the sled, if it's going to go sideways, that exaggerates the little slides, but not a bad line from 9 to 10. Riley Compton definitely enjoying her trip around Europe, and lots of new sights and sounds to be taken in. Wai Mingming, a little more experienced, only her third World Cup of the season. They didn't go to North America, the Chinese sliders. 2 11th place finishes, her best results this season, but she too raced in Europe Cup here before Christmas. So Europe Cup has been here before and post-Christmas. Innsbruck gets a lot of use. Rocking back on the handles to try and drive forward off the block. 6.03, so 0.3 of a second quicker than Riley Compton. Again, nice and quietly through corner 3. And that 0.3 advantage up to half a second. She makes the same tap there by the loose start, 4 to 5. And again, down into the Kreisel, puts a little low offline. Comes out, has a tap and a skid there. And then the 8-9 transition's been quite awkward. Out of 9, down to 10, not bad at all. Gap continues to build over Riley Compton, out to 7 tenths, out to 8 tenths now. Decent looking run from Wai Mingming. And across the line, she will come with a 55.12. With less weight on board, the Monobob's a little easier to stop than you'll see from the 4-man sleds this weekend. Brings it down a little early, pressure's not done with her, pushes her out late into the wall, and then a big skid as she gets that front bunk tap, and then drifting sideways into the next curve. And again, down in the lower labyrinth, when you're late, you never get a chance at the speeds they're doing here to correct that. The corners just come at you. Wai Mingming with the early lead from Riley Compton. And next up is the first of our 2 Romanian sliders, Georgeta Popescu. This is the Youth Olympic gold medalist from St. Moritz 2020. Finished in 16th in the World Championships this year, her 3rd World Cup start. Did the Junior Worlds here in 2021 and 3 Europe Cup races, so she knows the track well enough. First came here in the qualifier races for YOG 2020. Little rub up corner 1 into 2. And the 3rd best start at a 6.29, 2nd best start at 6.29, but didn't quite have the velocity of Riley Compton. Little tap on the wall there as well, that's not going to help. And a big skid coming down into the Kreisel. 6600s behind already. Oh dear. Brought it down a little early off the Kreisel as well. Nearly hit the short wall, and she's in real trouble there, out of 9. Very late indeed. Goodness me. Georgeta Popescu, her timing is very off on this run. And hits the short wall on the inside before the start-finish line as well. Only 113 kilometers an hour down at the bottom, 1.2 seconds back. Her teammates rushing out to help her. So 56.32. Plenty for the boys in the replay desk to find there. Yeah, big late height here. Tries to bring it down and just rattles the wall. And then the Exeter corner 9. Here we go, look at this. She brings it down, centrifugal force pushes her right back up. There's no corner left, so she's on the wall. And you saw the rear runner digging in there, almost rolled her over. Not at all happy with that. Lisa Bukvitz is our 4th of 16 starters, heat 1 of this 7th World Cup of the season. The bronze medalist from the World Championships in St. Moritz in Monobob. She's had a silver and a bronze this season in Park City and Lake Placid. Hasn't taken a medal in Europe, though. World Championship silver medalist in women's bobsleigh as well. We'll see her compete in the two-seat sleds tomorrow. 5.83 getaway, former brakewoman, Olympic champion in 2018. She's one of the most powerful starters in the field. And she was braking as one of Germany's #1 choices right up to the Olympic Games, through the Olympic Games in February last year, learning to drive the whole time, and then came out onto the World Cup circuit for the first time as a driver this year, and immediately claimed 2 Monobob medals in North America on tracks she does not know well. Good speed from Lisa Buchwitz, from 2/10 up at the start to 4,300s advantage at the moment. This is a smooth-looking line for somebody who has been driving in between World Cup and Olympic break starts. A 54.49 track record. She really is a very impressive driver indeed, and goes quicker than anybody has managed on this track so far. I don't mean today, I mean so far. Buzzing with that run, and rightly so. Just the tiniest of nudges there on the wall, taking barely anything out of the sled. Into the Kreisel, doesn't fight the sled, holds the high line, and judges the exit really nicely out of corner 9 as well. Straight down the tubes, just a fraction to the right-hand side, and perfect line for 10. That was a nice-looking run. Lisa Buchwitz justifiably happy with that one, I think. Yingqing of China, our second Chinese slider, 25 years of age. Had a bit of a bruising time in the World Championships, didn't complete her runs, had a crash. 4th World Cup of the season for her. She raced all 3 Women's Monobob World Series races here last year, and she had 3 Europe Cup medals in December in Monobob and Women's Bobsleigh here in Innsbruck. So she should have good knowledge of the track. Let's see what she's got off a second best start. Only a 10th behind Lisa Buchwitz at the start. Nice quiet drive so far. Having a little meander around in the upper labyrinth. Takes a little tap before coming onto the Kreisel. The gap remains at 0.2 of a second. She's not losing much, but she is gradually losing. Bring it over to the right a fraction. There we go, on to 10. Okay, this is a nice, controlled-looking run. Barely lost any more at all to Lisa Buchwitz. Across the finish line, and she is 2,900s back. That's a good run, 54.78. And the 1,100s outside the pre-existing track record, but 2,900s behind Lisa Buchwitz. Well, she was a 10th back at the start, and the bobsleigh rule of thumb is if you're a 10th back at the start, you should be 3/10 back at the bottom. She was 2,900s back, so pretty much an even drive with Lisa. But losing that initial acceleration means that it takes much longer to try and build up to speed, and that lack of starting speed follows you all the way down. Out of 9 here, had to drive it off relatively hard. So cutting a bit of ice there just takes the speed away. As he waves the camera, forgets that the sled is there. Mind you, there were 3 others to help. Lisa Buchwitz, the early leader from Yingqing and Wai Mingming. Race 7 of the BMW IBSF Women's Monobob World Cup. We are here in Innsbruck in Austria. And here is the woman who, up until 10 minutes ago, held the track record, Australia's Brianna Walker. Teammate Sarah Blizzard has injured herself. She was hoping to be competing this weekend, but cannot now. So it looks like it's one thing after another for the other Aussie. Let's see what Brie can produce here. 5.92 getaway. That's 100th ahead of Wai Mingming, who Yingqing we've just seen. So 900s behind Lisa Buchwitz. Let's see if she can outdrive her rival. Took a silver medal in one of the World Series races on this track last year against a very strong field that includes just about everybody that's here plus a couple of others. 1500s back, second best speed into the Kreisel. Now let's see if she can start to withdraw that. Yes, she has better speed than Lisa Buchwitz. Nice first run here from Brianna Walker. Now let's see if she gets the labyrinth neatly sized up. 1700s back, the gap continues to grow a fraction. Across the line, 2100s back, 54.70. Sheila wanted to be closer than that, I think, to Buchwitz. That leaves her in second place at the moment, and only 300s off her previous best down here. Well, Brie, one of the leading lights in the early years of women's monobob, and since the introduction of these new Bavarian-built Ixent sleds, she has kept her head very much above water, always to be reckoned with. A couple of little skids and taps there. Well, she didn't come to North American races, but took a bronze last time out in Altenburg in the World Cup. And Brianna finished in 4th place, narrowly off the podium in the World Champs. Cynthia Appia next up for Canada. Expect to see big starts from her. 5.76 seconds is the start record. How close are we going to get in the first push this morning? It's a little bit humid, so the start area might be quite frosty. Not ideal for fast record starts. And a 5.86, so a 10th away from her previous best, which is the all-time fastest start for a monobob on this track. Taps early on, not helping. 300s behind Buchwitz from the start. A 10th back now, more taps, you can hear the errors. And again, lots of skidding going on here. Only the 3rd best speed for Cynthia Appia. Out of the Kreisel. Little cleaner here. Getting more control as the speed builds from 9 to 10, quite clean. Oh, but has a tap down into the lower labyrinth, and that is going to leave her eyes out on stalks here, coming through these corners at 70+ miles an hour. And 3/10 back, 54.79. Linda Rush, Justin Cripps, the coaching duo there. And her Canadian teammates and coach Alfie Willemsen rushing up to help. Unfortunately, she missed the first gap in the wall, and now they have to push her up to the second. Easier said than done. Well, lots of taps early on, just robbing speed from the sled, and taps and skids not helping at all. Decent high line in the Kreisel, just keeping that long, sweeping parabola. Drawing it down nicely. Watch the runner tips. Not too much steering going on there. Just a tiny little flop, though, on the bump of ice on the exit, and then clatters the wall. So Cynthia Appia currently in 4th place. Lisa Buchwitz the leader as we get to our Olympic monobob champion, Kaylee Humphries, the outgoing world champion. She was the world champion in 2021, finished in the silver medal position behind Lara Nolte a couple of weeks ago in Samoritz. Last week in Samoritz. So Kaylee Humphries, 37 years of age. So far this season, bronze, gold, silver, silver, gold, gold. Not a bad haul. She's our World Cup points leader. It's going to be a tough battle in the final 2 races, though, between her and Lara Nolte. Nolte needs to start winning, though. 5.95 getaway for Humphries. Always a contender at the start block. Is what this woman can do once she's in the sled. That is so impressive. So much experience. Knows this track as well as any other. Again, sitting well back in the sled. You can see the tall figure of Cynthia Appia right up against the cowl. Kaylee's able to adapt to a sort of more laid-back driving position here, lying further back and putting the weight further back in the sled, and that helps the control of the rear runners. Cynthia Appia has tried that, but said all she did was look at her hands once she could see them. I'm looking at my hands. I just can't focus on the drive. Kaylee having less problems with that. Across the line she comes, second place, only 1100s in it. 54.60, but Lisa Buchwitz still the first heat leader from Kaylee Humphries and Brianna Walker. We still have our world champion Lara Nolte to come. Who else might feature? Maybe Melanie Hassler, Kim Kalicki. We'll have to wait and see.
Second place. 12 back at the start, 11 at the bottom.
Well, there you go. That's the stats from her coach. 12 back at the start, 11 at the bottom. 12 back at the start, you should be 36 at the bottom, all other things being equal. So a really good drive from Kaylee Humphries. And as you watch the runner tips coming straight down towards us, just the slightest little creeping over to the right-hand side. She has got such great driving skills. Well, this young woman, 13 years, her junior, is also very much in the ascendancy. Melanie Hassler finished 7th in the world. A little disappointed with that, I would think, at home in St. Moritz. She's a quick starter. She is also a very good driver. 2 8th places and a 4th place finish here in last year's 3 World Series races. 6:01 start. So 1800s behind Lisa Buchwitz, who is still the fastest starter, but only 600s behind Kaylee Humphries, who's in 2nd place. But she's not been able to control that speed early on, out to 2800s back. Taps and skids, controls the skid coming down nicely into the Kreisel, and a decent exit. Tiny little flop on the end of the Kreisel. Out of corner 9, hits the wall, skids down into 10. Again, she's got that little shimmy on the runners to straighten up the skid. Whipping down through the lower labyrinth. Where's she going to be? It's not a top 4 run, it's only 6, 54.93. She'll be a little disappointed with that. Best result of the season has been a 4th place finish for Melanie Hassler. Well, she missed out on one of the Altenburg races to go and do Junior Worlds. She's had a couple of 4th places in Whistler and in Lake Placid. Hasn't managed to get that high up the order again here in Europe. See the tap and the skid, just a little shimmy with the runners at the front. That brings the tail back into line. Well, she's often got the smile. You can see just a little pensive about that one there. Kim Kalicki of Germany next, 25 years of age. Best result for her this season. Her only Monobob medal to date was a bronze in Winterberg. Again, like her teammate, she's competed in each of the previous 6 World Cup races this season. Kalicki finished in 5th place in the world. See some very different styles. The driver style, which is pushing sort of with the forearms rather than the brake style, or brake athlete style of diving into the sled and pulling it along with you. 6:03 getaway for Kim Kalicki. So 2/10 behind teammate Lisa Buchwitz from the starting block. Wai Ming also started in 6:03. She's in 7th place, 6,300s back. And Kim 4/10 behind Lisa as she gets to the Kreisel. Little skiddy drift out of the Kreisel. Out of 9, big slide. And it looks like she is going to be hovering around Wai Ming, 7th or 8th place at the moment. Down through the labyrinth. Keeping it together into the final corner, and across the line it is 7th with a 55.05. And that leaves her, how far ahead of Wai Ming? 700ths of a second. And she's 1200ths behind Melanie Hassler. Little tap there, inducing the skid. That was Hassler, this is Kalicki. Pretty decent line in the Kreisel, but here out of 9 has to bring it down quite late, and the tail not following the nose as she tries to bring it over a little too quickly to the right-hand side for 10. So Lisa Buchwitz, the early leader from Kaylee Humphries and Brianna Walker, race 7 of the Women's Monobob World Cup. Into the second half of our field, first 10 sleds down. Nicole Vogts of the USA is the 11th sled to go. Monobob World Cup Race 7 here in Innsbruck in Austria. 35 years of age. She raced in the Europe Cup here in January 2020. Was not a monobob race weekend then, so that's her only knowledge of this track. Whistler was her best race, not either of the US tracks. She finished in 6th place in the season opener. She drops into the sled. Let's see what her experience of just a handful of training runs will give her. A 6:44 getaway. Spent almost all of her bobsledding career in North America doing the North America's Cup. And just one voyage over to Innsbruck. So she's got a little more two-seat sled knowledge here. And still trying to control the rear of this sled. It's got a little bit of a mind of its own this morning. So she's bringing the nose down, the tail isn't following. Out of 9. Again, drifting over to the driver's right to get the correct line into 10. Good exit down here, and that should leave her nicely timed through the labyrinth. And from the 11th best start, she's 9th at the line, 55.69. So a 10th ahead of Cynthia Appia, 900s behind, 1900s behind Kaylee Humphries. So 55.69 at 9th place. 2200s ahead of her teammate Riley Compton. Again, you can see that long driving stride, trying to really propel the sled here. These early transitions really causing a lot of problems for the sleds. A lot of ice build-up on the wall. It's been a mild winter, so the track has frozen, melted, lots and lots of ice build-up. Second of the two Romanian sliders here is Andrea Grecu, more experienced of the two, 28 years of age, former brakewoman. Started driving about 5 or 6 years ago now. 14th in the World Championships, very disappointed with that. Didn't compete in North America in the World Cup. And her best results in her previous 3 World Cup starts in Europe have been a couple of 6th place finishes. 5.96. All the teams using the same sled. The difference is how you set it up, and you can use your own runners. The runners are the same as a normal 2-seat sled. So all the runners have to be from a blank made of steel approved by the IBSF. So there are no crazy metal matrix composites or any other nonsense going on. But you can have the radius of the runners and their slight rock as well adjusted to suit. She just looks a little bit lost in St. Moritz, as though she wasn't quite sure where the speed had gone. 6th best start, not holding on to that position in the running order though. On down the track, should be 7th or 8th, 8th at the line, 55.11. 600s behind Kim Kilicki, 100th ahead of Wai Ming of China. So Andrea Grecu with a little bit of room for improvement. Teodora there in the back in the Romanian hat, her brakewoman. She'll be competing with her in the women's race tomorrow morning. And again, that early transition not helping anybody really. Lots of taps and skids. Out of 9. Hits the wall, gets nudged away. Onto the right line for corner 10, but you prefer to do it without that contact. So Lauren Alter then, our new world champion, the 24-year-old, had her first win in a monobob in Lake Placid, won immediately again in Winterberg. Silver in both races in Altenburg. Behind Kaylee Humphries, lies 2nd in the World Cup standings. 5.98 getaway. Humphries starting 5.95. Lisa Bukvitz a bit head and shoulders above the rest with a 5.83 start. She's our current leader. What a big thump there, not even a tap. That was a big hit for Lauren Alter, and another hit and a skid down into the Kreisel. Third best speed still. Kaylee Humphries watching in St Moritz, rather perplexed that somehow the Germans managed to hit things and still keep speed in the sled. 3/10 back though. 7th best to the start. She's driving herself into the top 6. How close will she be? At the line, she is a quarter of a second back in 4th. So it's Buchwitz, Humphries, Walker and Nolte at the moment. She is 400s behind Brianna Walker, who's bronze. She is 400s ahead of Ying Qing and 500s ahead of Cynthia Appia. So a tight little battle for the medals. But a lot of mistakes in that first heat that need cleaning up. Hauled it off a little bit late there. Out of corner 4, and that 4-5 transition, everybody is bouncing off things. Same down here. Out of 6th, down into the Kreisel. And again, out of corner 9. Making all the mistakes here that the track has laid out for her. 3 sleds to go. 3rd World Cup start of the season for Victoria Czernanska. The Slovakian driver was the silver medalist in the Youth Olympic Games in 2020. She missed the first race in Altenburg this season to go to the Junior Worlds, where she took gold. She's had a gold and a silver this season, though, in North America's Cup races in Lake Placid in December. So getting plenty of experience. 6:28 getaway. Again, like Georgeta Popescu of Romania, her rival in those Youth Olympic Games, just 20 years old, so still very much in development as a driver and as an athlete. And certainly the federation will be trying to work on her speed at the start. She's given away far too much early on, nearly half a second back from the starting block. That means you have to outdrive the very best in the business by a considerable margin to try and erase that deficit. She has progressed as a driver. We've watched her this season. She looks to have been getting better faster than Georgeta Popescu. Georgeta at the moment down in 14th place, Victoria in 12th. She comes into the station with a 55.77 run. Best result in her World Cup appearances so far, a 13th place, so she is on target for a personal best. Only 800s behind Nicole Vogt as well. Top 10 finish is about 6/10 away from her, but you may have to tidy up your run and rely on others making mistakes, like Lauren Alter, who we just saw coming down. Although she had less speed early on, she's made pretty much all the mistakes there are to make. Just a little skid out there towards the wall between 9 and 10. Very much a work in progress for Victoria Czernanska. Now 2 rookies to round out this first heat from Austria. Lea Hasselwanter, 23 years of age, started only in 2021. So this is her 2nd season of sliding. Did the Junior Worlds here in January 22. 4 Europe Cup races. Let's see what she's got. A 5:99 start. All right, that's only 100 slower than Lauren Alter, the Olympic champion. So 8th best start is a good start. A little bit of a skid there. Watch the rear end of the sled. As she tried to keep the nose down, the back was starting to climb the wall, and again, the rear is driving her along here. Or at least it's not being very obedient. They need to work on getting the weight even further back in the sled. She's not got control of the back, and the problem there is you point the front where you want and the back goes somewhere else, and that means you are constantly dragging it around. From the 8th best start on home ice here, I'm sure she was a little nervy beforehand, because this is a very different kind of feel to a race weekend at the World Cup. 55.82. There's Wolfie, her coach. Well, great to see a new sliding name for Austria, Lea Hasselwalter, making her debut. Katy Bile is forerunning this weekend. She had to take the season off, had a mini stroke late in last winter and is recovering from that. And former Austrian standout driver Christina Hengster, now a mum, married to Gregor Baumann. She's here with her 18-month-old baby, 19-month-old baby. She's commentating for Austrian radio and television next door. So the next generation is here with Lea Hasselwalter. And the next generation for Belgium as well, a little less unused to the World Cup, because Kelly van Petegem, as a former brakewoman for Anne van Nieuwenhuis, now driving herself. She started a couple of years ago. There's Anne behind, just 23. She's done 8 Monobob races officially, including the Junior Worlds 2023. One last go just to make sure she got the message from Anne at the top. 6:21 from Kelly. So again, young athlete, young driver, former brakewoman, and withdrew from competing in the World Cup as a brakewoman a couple of years ago to learn driving skills. A little tap there, but not a bad-looking run so far. She's making her World Cup debut here. 10th best speed from the 12th best start. Whoa! Gets squared up there. And the speed has gone away. Big height. Nice exit, though. Now she can keep it tidy in the labyrinth. Ooh. Across the line, where's she going to be? In 14th place, tied with Riley Compton. And very keen to try and support Kelly, and now retired from driving after the end of last season, and working as a fitness coach. And Macy there from the US team helping out down at the bottom as well. She'll sled dog for anybody. Oh, a little uncomfortable, just whipped it down a fraction early there. And again, double tap there, just squaring her up a little bit. Slightly nervy, perhaps, first run from Kelly van Petegem. Again, late height there, just woof, on and off the corner, having to work hard. Watch the runner tips here. Big, big haul off corner 9. So the finesse will come with more kilometers of ice under those runners. Our first heat leader is Germany's Lisa Buchwitz. Kaylee Humphries lies in second, Brianna Walker in third spot. And Buchwitz with 2 medals so far this season. Silver in Park City, bronze in Lake Placid. A couple of 4th place finishes and a crash in her races so far in Europe. Can she take her first mono win? Well, the gaps aren't huge, are they? 1100s ahead of Kaylee Humphries means you are definitely watching your rearview mirror. Brianna Walker in the medals, 400s ahead of the world champion Lauren Alter, 800s ahead of Ying Qing, 900s ahead of Cynthia Appia, only 1400s ahead, 1300s ahead of Melanie Hassler. 23, that is. So Melanie may be a little out of the medals, but at the moment, I think nothing is fixed. Anja Grecu, Wai Ming Ming, 100th apart, 800s behind. Nicole Vogt is Victoria Chendanska, and a dead heat between Kelly van Petegem and Riley Compton. So that is our first heat completed. The women will be back for the second and deciding heat here in Innsbruck at 11:30 local, 10:30 GMT, 05:30 Eastern, and that is in 50 minutes from now. You can get the kettle on, but don't go away as we see whether Lisa Buchwitz can claim her first mono gold here in Innsbruck.